Good afternoon. My name is Hermes Pandelatos. This is Kristen Steiger, Veronica Mala, and Dusan Stefanovic. And we are students from the class of ICJ 401 of the John Jay College of Criminal Justice. And we are presenting the country of Turkey and the U.S. security assistance and human rights in this country. A little background for Turkey. Turkey is the only democratic country in the Middle East at the moment, and what is more important is that it's a vital ally to all because of the strategic position of the country. However, if we talk about the U.S. relations with Turkey, Veronica Mala has more information about it.
Thank you, Hermes. I will be discussing the importance of the U.S. and Turkey relation. Any Turkey and U.S. relations has a significant importance to the policies that are made between the two countries, and Congress has a huge role in shaping those policies. Policies and issues such as bilateral or domestic issues, you have military cooperation with sales and aids, and any Turkey relations with the neighboring countries. A major issue that Turkey is facing right now is the failed attempt coup of the July of 2016, which Turkey believes were members of the Gulen, which consists of 3 to 6 million members that tried to overpower the government and have Erdogan moved out of office. Now, in response to that, Gulen says that in repeated reports, he believes that he, along with his members, had nothing to do with that failed coup. Erdogan does not believe that in his innocence and has asked the U.S. numerous times to extradite Gulen. Gulen is currently a permanent resident that lives in Pennsylvania, and U.S. response to Gulen's extradition states that unless you have valid points or valid evidence that Gulen was involved, we do not believe in extraditing a political figure. So with that being said, the relationship between the U.S. and Turkey has gotten from bad to worse. Until the U.S. extradites Gulen, Erdogan does not believe, or he has gone to other countries and countries such as Russia, and tried to make their relationship better to get back at U.S. And U.S. stating numerous times that unless they have proof and evidence that Gulen was responsible for these attacks, they do not feel that he should be extradited back to Turkey. Furthermore, we're going to have Kristen that's going to go in depth about the U.S. security assistance in Turkey. Thank you.
Good afternoon. The 3 major security assistance programs that are used when giving money to Turkey is Combating Terrorism Fellowship Program, Cooperative Threat Reduction, and International Military Education and Training. In 2014, the aid given for those programs was $9.8 million, and it drastically dropped to $4.7 million in 2015. Most cuts were done to the Combating Terrorism Program, which is interesting to think about, as Hermes pointed out, because of the strategic importance of this country in relevance to the war on terror that the United States is involved in. In regards to the conditioning that the United States can do, in 2014, the U.S. dropped military supplies to Kurdish forces, a group that Turkey deemed a terrorism group, which can be a major reason why the aid dropped so much in 2015, as well as Turkey's GDP and economy rising. NATO involvement is extremely important to Turkey due to the U.S. military base, which adds security to the nation. Turkey has gone against NATO regulations by almost purchasing arms from China, as well as recently purchasing $2 billion worth of arms from Russia. With this being said, it will be extremely difficult to condition military assistance in any way to promote positive human rights outcomes in Turkey because of the 2 other major powers that have interested in developing partnerships with Turkey. China has pledged to work with Turkey through the war on terror, while Russia has sold weapons and shown grave interest in strengthening the 2 countries As previously stated, NATO is of vital importance to Turkey and may be one of the U.S.'s only conditions of security assistance which may influence the positive human rights outcomes that the U.S. wishes to achieve. With that being said, Dusan is going to go into some other aspects.
Hello, good evening. There are various explanations on why U.S.-Turkish relations have fluctuated from strained to cordial since the attempted military coup against Erdogan last year. In light of recent events, Turkey has been deviating away from its principles of cooperation, liberalism, and cooperation, and leaning towards authoritarianism. However, Turkey remains our key ally because it is our key ally in a fight against terrorism and a source of stability in the region which has been plagued by conflict. Turkey borders with Iraq and Syria, where thousands of American service members are stationed, countering ISIS forces. It also borders with Iran, which remains the world's biggest exporter of terrorism and whose clerical leadership is still bent on acquiring nuclear capabilities. Turkey also holds the keys to the Black Sea. It is also NATO's strongest member state. This is of great strategic importance. It is of great strategic importance that the United States and Turkey remain on good terms, because if a major crisis ever breaks out, Turkey will be in the center of it and hopefully on our side. In spite of good intentions, there have been diplomatic problems, such as the tit-for-tat visa suspensions on both sides of the table, the detainment of U.S. consular personnel, including a dozen other Americans, the non-extradition of Fethullah Gulen, which has given rise to an anti-American sentiment, which has led to an accusation of U.S. support of the coup. All of these elements have led Turkey to cooperate more with the Russian government and turn to them for help. This year, both countries have joined the pipeline to help give Turkey hundreds of billions of cubic feet of gas annually. Now let me talk about security assistance and natural resource endowments, because this is set to offer great opportunities for achieving high levels of growth and development if properly managed. However, U.S. funding has been at an all-time low and at a steady decline. Because of this, Turkey is not intrigued. These programs, these endowments have not helped Turkey monitor or supervise human rights abuses and aggression in the post-coup purge. Therefore, I believe with current endowments, on the basis of strategic importance, that this will have a minimal, and that the pressure of human rights, making Turkey susceptible to human rights reforms, is minimal and will have minimal impact to the regime. Now, what I believe is U.S.-Turkish relations will benefit more from a relationship built on closer military, intelligence, and diplomatic ties, as well as increasing trade ties, rather than placing more pressure on current bilateral relations by pressuring human rights reforms, which is counterproductive in improving relations from which both countries want to benefit. Now, Hermes.
Thank you very much, Dusan. It is obvious that human rights violations in Turkey is something ongoing. And there's a question that arises right here, is that if the US can actually prevent human rights violations in Turkey. Well, there's a current scenario that's going on right now, and this is the S-400 air defense system from Russia. So Turkey just not purchased, but ordered the S-400 air defense missiles from Russia, and America and the US is greatly opposed, is against that. So, however, there's a deal of F-35 stealth fighters to Turkey from the US. So the US threatened to cut the deal of the F-35 fighters in response to Turkey purchasing the S-400 air defense system. Well, here's the very interesting point. When the US actually claimed that it might deny the delivery of the fighters, Turkey responded that if this happens, all the radars that are on Turkish soil are going to be removed. And we all know that the American radars in Turkey are vital for the fight against terror or for the protection of the most vital ally, which is the Israel. So what comes in the surface is that U.S. is not the only player in the globe right now, and because of that, U.S. cannot threaten Turkey or any country anymore. So, considering that evidence, we all argued, and me and my team, we argued that because the U.S. is not the only power in the world, they cannot threaten anybody, and of course, this destroys the relationship between countries. The example of Turkey is very important because we see a country that actually doesn't care about the threats from the US, but actually has the power to threat back. So, to answer the initial question, the human rights violations cannot be prevented in Turkey for the only reason that US is not the only player anymore. On behalf of my team and I, thank you very much for your time.